done holding court, we can go. What's that?
Stacy Capazio's son qualified. Where does he go to school? Yeah, Cheshire Hill. Wow.
Not expecting that.
They must have some farm strength down there.
What's that?
They must have like some farm strength.
They've been they're legendary.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. The regular meeting of the Fond du Lac Board of Education for Monday, February 24th, 2025 is now called to order at 5 p.m. Can we have the roll, please?
Godfrey.
Here.
Henschel.
Here.
Horth here. Lavrens.
Here.
Motor.
Here.
Panow.
Here.
Schreider.
Here, we have established a quorum. Please join us at this time for a moment of reflection to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make one announcement this evening that it is Public Schools Week, February 24th through the 28th, 2025. Celebration of the contributions and achievements of our public school teachers and staff. So please take a moment this week to I lost my train of thought, sorry, to congratulate them on a job well done and tell them how much they're appreciated. Thank you. We are up to our first public comment session of the evening, guided by the following principles: 10 minutes per topic, 5 minutes per person. I am going to also reference 0167.3, the public comment at board meetings, reminding our participants that the presiding officer is guided by the following rules. Letter F, all statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. Letter G, the presiding officer will interrupt, warn, or terminate if the participant's statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The presiding officer will request any individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. The presiding officer will request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. And the presiding officer will call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. With that being said, we're all set at the podium, so feel free to start.
Thank you. My name is Mrs. Hawkins. I'm an art teacher at the high school. I'm also the PR rep for the Fond du Lac Education Association. And we're here tonight on behalf of the FEA Education Association, Fond du Lac Education Association, also known as the FEA. And we would like to formally announce our support for the Fond du Lac School District referendum, which will appear on the April 1st ballot. This decision was made during the FEA's January general membership meeting, where educators discussed the potential impact of the referendum on student achievement. The referendum will address critical funding needs within the district to ensure continued growth in student success. During the meeting, FEA members highlighted recent improvements in student achievement and expressed concerns about the negative consequences of a failed referendum. FEA members remain committed to advocating for measures that prioritize student success and provide staff with the necessary resources needed to do our jobs. Our students in the Fond du Lac community deserve to have the opportunities, attention, and support that this referendum will provide.
Vice President of the FEA. We just wanted to also let our community know that we are excited to announce that on March 5th from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Hive, we will have a community outreach event. We are excited to connect with our community. And really the basis is going to be to connect with the community as well as give some big picture information, and then finally just hear from our community to find out what their concerns are or what their questions are, so that we can address them as a community as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here to recognize some students and parents. This summer, actually, and I've been trying to get here for a while, just never made it. There was four different individuals. One, me and my daughter Reagan, and then three young men, Josh Quackenbaugh, Sean Dyschel, and Alan Bang, who were representing the Fond du Lac School District for the Bradford Boy and Bradford Girls State. I'm not sure if anything was actually put out about it, because it was in June when we did it. So I wanted to recognize those young people for that accomplishment based on, I can speak to the girls' side, because Reagan told me about it, not so much the boys' side, but I'm thinking it's probably pretty similar, where she stayed at U of Oshkosh for a week with girls from out the 73 counties in Wisconsin. And essentially, they formed their own government. They were put into two houses, two communities, and from there they built their government from the ground up, where they did elections. She was like elected corner, a whole bunch of different things. I have to ask her more to remember what it was. And then the accumulating activity at the end is they selected a governor for their state. And I just wanted to recognize those guys.
Awesome.
It was over the summer, so I don't know how much was put out about it. I want to say it probably is coming up soon for this year's juniors, where they'll get nominated and then they have to send in an application and do all those pieces. I want to say, I have it up here, last year, it was in February, and then I think she was picked in April. They got the letter in April 1st, so they were recognized. And with that, the American Legion Auxiliary 75 for the girls' side also funded part of that for them, so appreciated to them for that. So I wanted to recognize those guys on that opportunity and that honor of representing Fond du Lac School District. And then while I'm here, Reagan actually qualified for state for wrestling, which is
Yes.
exciting. So some work started. And then there were also Xander Stanley, who's also a senior, and Clinton Oregon, who's a sophomore. They all qualified, so they start their tournament on Thursday, so that's exciting for the high school and just for wrestling in general. Big kudos to those guys because they put in a lot of hard work. And hopefully the girls program will continue to grow with the ones that are watching her down there. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Next up, anyone? Seeing that we don't have anyone, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I move that Board of Education approve the consent agenda as follows: February 10th, 2025, regular meeting minutes, February 10th, 2025, workshop minutes, personnel recommendations, retirement resignations, new hire, and bi-monthly financial report.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by Mr. Godfrey for the approval of the agenda. Could we have the roll, please?
Godfrey,
Yes.
Henschel,
Yes.
Horth, yes. Laverens.
Yes.
Motor. Yes. Panau.
Yes.
Schreider.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we'll go to individually considered resolutions. And this is going to be consider the approval of the Summer Recreation Department program fees.
Move that the Board of Education approve the Summer Recreation Department program fees for 2025 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by Mr. Laverns. Mr. Gerlach, Mr. Graymont.
For Mr. Graymont.
If you notice, really no change in the fees for this year after last year's increase. So the only adjustments would be for new classes determining rates that we added for this year. That's really the story this year for the fees.
So holding status quo.
Roger that.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Graymont at all? No? Okay. Seeing none, can we have the roll, please?
Henschel,
Yes.
Horth, yes. Laverens.
Yes.
Motor. Yes. Panau.
Yes.
Godfrey.
Yes.
Schreider.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, the board individually considered resolutions. We're going to consider the approval of changes to Title IX policies, second reading.
Move that Board of Education approve changes Board Policy 2266 and rescind Board Policy 2264 in response to the January 9th, 2025 Federal District Court decision regarding the 2024 Title IX regulations at second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by Ms. Horace. Dr. Flagg.
We're just bringing this to the second reading. Last time we workshopped and had a first reading. This is kind of a formality, given the federal law has already changed and the guidance has, so it's before the board for you all to vote on it and adopt it.
Can we call the roll, please?
Can I just make a quick comment?
Oh, sure.
Yep, I stated this when we did our workshop, but just a reminder that we do have bullying and non-harassment policies as well to ensure that every child feels safe at school.
Well said.
Thank you, Katie. I keep forgetting that you're in front of me when I look, so. Roll, please.
No worries, you know I'm not quiet.
Horth, yes. Lavrens,
Yes.
Motor,
Yes.
Panau,
Yes.
Godfrey,
No.
Henschel,
Yes.
Schreider.
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Next up, we're going to consider approval of the suggested revisions to Neola policies in volume 34-1, first reading.
Move the Board of Education approve the suggested revisions to Neola policies in volume 34-1 is presented as at first reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by Mr. Godfrey. Any questions regarding the Neola readings that we went over in workshop? Seeing none, can we have the roll?
Lavrens,
Yes.
Motor,
Yes.
Panau,
Yes.
Godfrey,
Yes.
Henschel,
Yes.
Horth, yes. Schreider.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we'll consider approval of the suggested revisions to board policies 3340 and 4340, the first reading.
Move that the Board of Education approve the suggested revisions to the Neola policies and special update Edgar and Edgar UG at
Nope.
for
No,
wrong
wrong one.
Above it.
Oh, the one above. Sorry, I'm down too far. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm brain dead. I move that the Board of Education approve the suggested revisions to Neola policies in volume 34-1 as presented at first reading. Sorry,
No,
guys.
no, you're
Am
one
I-
too high.
Wait, that's the one I just read.
Oh.
Oh. I'm brain dead tonight. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. Move that the Board of Education approve the revisions to board policies 3340 and 4340 grievance procedures at first reading. Sorry, guys.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Godfrey, seconded by Mr. Lavrens. Any questions on that? We did cover those last week in workshop as well with the Neola readings.
And they're about as confusing as
Katie, you good?
I'm good.
All right. Can we call the roll, please?
Motor,
Yes.
Panau, Godfrey,
Yes.
Henschel,
yes.
Horth, yes. Lavrens,
Yes.
Schreider.
I'm being
Yes.
quiet tonight.
Motion carries 7-0.
I'm being quiet tonight.
Next up, we're going to consider the approval of suggested revisions to Neola policies and special update Edgar UG, first reading.
Go ahead, Mark.
You want that one? You practiced that last time. All right. Move that the Board of Education approve the suggested revisions to Neola policies and the special update Edgar UG at first reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by Mr. Godfrey for a new pair of boots. Oh, no, those are Uggs. Any questions regarding this that we went over in the workshop last meeting? Nope. All right, can we call the roll, please?
Panau,
Yes.
Godfrey,
Yes.
Henschel,
Yes.
Horth, yes. Lavrens,
Yes.
Motor,
Yes.
Schreider.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we're going to go to board administrative reports. We're going to go throw this to Mrs. Bowers for Chief of Schools.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Schreider. I am pleased this evening to welcome our 3 middle schools tonight to provide an update to the board on their first year of partnership with the University of Virginia, Partnership for Leaders in Education. They will share a little bit about how the first part of the year went and provide you with a sneak peek as to their next 90-day plan within their buildings. We're going to start with Savish Middle School first.
Good evening, everybody. I have a handout for you as well. Right.
Thank you.
Katie, I would send it digitally.
I got it,
Okay.
I got it.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yes. All right, well, good evening, board. As you can see on the document I gave you, it starts with our purpose statement. This purpose statement was drafted initially in summer when we did our summer work in Virginia and was taken to a team of our educators for their input and perfected it to what it is now. So at Sabish Middle School, we believe in each and every student, each and every day, that no matter their current academic proficiency, they will learn and grow at high levels. We commit to our students, our families, and each other that we will ensure rigorous academic experiences. We will create relationships rooted in dignity, trust, and respect so that we maximize each and every student's potential now and into their future. And I really want to draw your attention to the second line of our purpose statement, that no matter their current academic proficiency, they will learn and grow at high levels. And if you look at our 2 charts behind us on the wall here, that attests to that exact statement. And so we are growing our students at very high levels, holding them accountable with high expectations and high support. So very exciting. Moving on, our big rocks are the same as the big rocks in our district. So Big Rock 1, we are committed to providing high quality universal instruction of the standards for each and every student. So some of the critical action steps that we've taken throughout first semester and have continued into second semester include what I've termed micro PD. This is professional development that staff gets to experience when we're meeting during the day. So we've had different representatives and vendors come in from CAMI, Vocabulary. We've done a lot of work with our ELL team and our special ed team. And so we've done some really great adult learning around our students and what some of those products that really work well in the tech integration aspect to enhance access. We've implemented our table talk protocols, and this is really another key piece from our learning at UVA. It's a strategic system and a strategic protocol, a way to discuss where our students are at, how they're doing, and what we're going to do, what action steps we're going to put in place for those students. We're in alignment with our district objectives, such as using word walls and sentence stems. Again, these are really best teacher practices that we can use in all classrooms that enhance access for all students, for all learners. And lastly, I've been working on providing instructional feedback during observations and walkthroughs of classroom lessons. This can be both formal and informal, depending on where it's documented and how it's provided to staff. So giving them feedback on these key things. Moving into Big Rock 2, this is centered on data, so we're increasing our capacity for deeper data-driven collaboration and instructional monitoring to ensure student learning. And this is at the heart of our second 90-day plan as we look at semester 2 here. Throughout the past 5 to 6 weeks, we implemented the UVA PD that we got as a team in Oklahoma City this winter, and we brought it back to our staff, and we rolled it out in mini sessions, so they got a chunk of it at each time, and then we finalized it this past Friday on our professional development day. So our building as a whole has a collective understanding of where we're going with DDI, how it's going to be used, and how everyone can support it no matter what their role is. It's not just falling on math and ELA teachers. They're all part of what we can do in this process.
So to achieve more in that action under Big Rock 2, we have continued to implement that UVA micro PD. I just spoke about that. We're monitoring and evaluating the use of DDI protocols and CTs. That is starting. And staff will provide timely feedback to students. And the timeliness does matter because when we look at the turnaround time, when we're looking at student data, it has to be a pretty quick turnaround time, 48 hours. And being part of those meetings directly, observing those meetings and leading them, providing feedback to staff on implementation of the DDI protocols is our final key piece there. Moving on to, some of the results we've seen now, our desired outcomes, we want 100% of our weekly collaborative meetings to be data-driven, using the data-driven protocol as the tool, and we'll analyze various data sources within that protocol. Then our content area teams will use those findings from their data analysis, and they'll use it to inform what their teaching moves are going to be. So how are they going to see understand what they see in the data, and then shift their teaching due to what they know students need or need more of or less of. And that will be done in Tier 1, like general education time and during WIN. Staff will also use the planning protocol at PLCs and in CTs in order to use the data more effectively and intentionally to target specific students. And we have achieved number 3, and we're continuing to. We've never fully made it, but increase our academic outcomes for students as measured by iReady. So I included 2 graphs for you. And the first graph on the left is our winter diagnostic iReady growth. So it measures how students did from fall to winter. And that top dot is 6th grade. And then if you just go vertically down, there's 7 and 8. I'm sorry, I didn't label those for you. But we do have students in our literacy based on iReady data. We can see that they're showing high growth, and we want to keep pushing them into that top right quadrant where it's high performance, high growth. And then if you see our math data, again, really great to see all 3 grade levels in that high performance, high growth quadrant. We have 8th grade at the top, and then 6th and 7th are the following subsequent dots. So very exciting there for math as well as for reading. We want to continue to all gas, no brakes with our literacy here because we know that students need to be able to read, and I was happy to present this. This wouldn't be done without all of our educators at Sabish, so they're really working hard to make this happen.
Awesome. Any questions?
I just say, is someone speaking?
No.
I just wanted to say congratulations. That's outstanding, and I especially love the collective understanding that you're bringing back for your whole team.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, board.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. Brad Narrett, the principal at Tyson Middle School. I took advantage of bringing a couple teammates with me, teacher leaders from Tyson, Nicole Vogue, 7th grade social studies teacher and team leader, and Randy Wilhelms, 8th grade ELA teacher and DDI team member. So they're going to speak to you a little bit on each Big Rock. I think from their perspective, you'll find a lot of value. But I would like to start also with our purpose statement. At Tyson Middle School, each and every classroom will create a welcoming, engaging, equitable, and inclusive learning environment for all Tigers that's rooted in high expectations. We will solicit and value each and every voice of our student and family community. We will implement high-quality universal instructional practices and guarantee access to rigorous grade-level academic opportunities for each and every student. Our goal is to provide students with the knowledge and skills necessary for their future academic, career, and personal success. Our goal ultimately is to increase our reading and math proficiency, and you'll be able to see that on the backside when we get to that as well. Ms. Garcia spoke to her graphs. Ours are very similar and with exciting data to show. But I'm going to read Big Rock 1, and then I'm going to let Nicole come up and talk a little bit about what that means to her as a classroom teacher. She'll probably be touching on critical action steps 1, 2, and 4. If you pick up on her information that way. So Big Rock number 1, also a district Big Rock and shared with the middle schools. Tyson Middle School will ensure that high quality universal instruction of the grade level standards is accessible to each and every student. Nicole.
Thank you. I just want to say that our first Big Rock has positively impacted not only my teaching, but as well as the teaching practices across all of Tyson Middle School. First, teachers' commitment to high-quality grade-level instruction. One of the most meaningful parts of this Big Rock statement is the emphasis on supporting marginalized students. By focusing on this, we've been able to create more intentional and targeted support for students who need it most. Also, the introduction of new curriculum paired with the expectations for higher rigor. Clear teaching and learning objectives have made a huge difference in my classroom. My students understand what they're working toward, and as a result, they take ownership in their learning. This has also helped teachers maintain alignment across different classrooms and grade levels. Lastly, the shift towards more structured, student-focused team meetings. These meetings have allowed teachers to focus on our learning targets, vocabulary, and universal instructional strategies in a way that connects directly to student outcomes. This collaboration is helping us refine our teaching approaches and has created a space for teachers to share best practices.
I'd like to add one piece to that. At our last team leader meeting, I asked all of our team leaders if they would just reflect on a quick write opportunity for what the Big Rocks have meant to them this school year as it drives teachers and helps us transform our instruction. The question was, how has Big Rock number 1 altered your teaching approach and your delivery of instruction? This is just a testimony from one teacher. Big Rock number 1 has helped me be more focused on and intentional with my daily instruction and reteaching. All students can learn at high levels. They must have access to grade level standards and instruction, and this access must be consistent for all students. With the help of differentiation and scaffolding, both embedded in the curriculum and incorporated based on student need, high quality Tier 1 instruction is both possible and successful. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Wilhelms. He's going to talk about Big Rock number 2. And again, that is more data-driven and collaborative. Tyson Middle School will increase capacity for deeper data-driven collaboration and instructional monitoring to ensure student learning. Randy?
Good evening. Thanks a lot. I just want to talk about the professional development that has been a huge addition to the Springs 90-day plan that centers around DDI, the data-driven instruction. Through the use of the new DDI meeting template, partner teachers, ELA on Tuesday usually, and math on Thursday, have an opportunity to do things that we didn't do so much in the past. For example, we unpack a summative assessment or a final test at the beginning of a chapter or a beginning of a unit. And through backward design, we have a chance to look at the big standards that are going to be covered and make sure that they're covered throughout the course of our teaching. We also have a chance to look at formative assessments every week, which gives us an opportunity to make sure that we break down and plan reteaching where necessary, wherever kids are not gaining access to whatever it is that they're supposed to be getting through our learning objectives. We're also using academic monitoring on almost a daily basis where we walk around the room and we have specific things that we're looking for to make sure that the kids are getting them, and that offers immediate feedback for them and immediate input for us. And I just wanted to mention that this is either my 27th or 28th year in the district, and I've never seen something have impact like this that's already happening in our class. So, thank you.
And just one more connected testimony to that Big Rock number 2 from another teacher. Big Rock number 2 has taught me what the DDI process and academic monitoring can and should look like within my CTN classroom. I am still learning, but I now have a better understanding of how to implement DDI and, more importantly, how to take that data and use it to improve my instruction and reteaching for all students. Last but not least, you can see on the backside, as Ms. Garcia noted too, there's a data sheet. I do have the grade levels listed for the dots. We're very excited about that achievement being in that upper quartile of higher achievement and certainly higher growth. and equally excited for our 8th graders as they are going to transition to the high school. So we're excited to send them to the high school learning at high levels, and we hope that continues this spring. Thank you.
Thanks. I want to make a comment. Mr. Williams, I appreciate you talking about how you did it before versus now. All 4 of my kids had you, obviously, and Mr. Nearett, and went through. And, I was going to ask that question. How does this influence how you approach things differently than previously and been doing it for, handful of years? And so appreciate you giving us that insight.
And I look at that too, and I'm one that will pick out key words. And Nicole, you use the words intentional, targeted, and ownership. And Randy, you used the words development, immediate feedback, and impact. And when you have 6 words like that, you know what I mean? And you can hear it from you that are involved during this process. It just goes to show that collaborative nature and what you are doing through these partnerships is helping you as well, not just our students. So that's how we all get better. So very much appreciative. That's awesome to hear.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mike. Good evening, board, and I too, like my colleagues ahead of me, want to share very similar focused work that we are up to. And to throw a couple of words, I know that like hearing Mr. President, you pull out a couple of words. I'm going to pull out intentionality and accountability before even get started kind of going through where we're at Woodworth. And that is the intentional work that we're diving into and the changes that we've made since the fall of getting started. The fall was a pretty big picture of like, hey, we're going to tackle this thing and be able to take it head on. And then reality kind of sets in along the way, too, to be able to say, hey, maybe we have to go with smaller chunks to be able to move the target forward. And that does come with that intentional work and the accountability factor as well. So to start with that purpose statement, at Woodworth Middle School, all staff will provide a rigorous learning experience in our equitable and inclusive environment that will foster academic success for all scholars. Our expectations will be consistent and clearly communicated among all Wildcat families. As a school community, we will work tirelessly to cultivate and sustain positive relationships with all scholars, all day, every day. And if you take a look at our big rock for the same, we have obviously similar rocks along the way, so for that high quality instructional piece, one of the biggest pieces comes to that accountability standard of being able to highlight number 4 is being holding that staff to that stronger standard of professionalism and that accountability factor as it refers to or kind of dives into the climate and culture of the building and the belief factors. And that goes across the board for several different things for the staff of what they believe in themselves, what they believe in for the students, and what they believe in for the bigger picture for being able to move their instructional practices forward. And that can be a huge obstacle for many because that's a self-reflective approach. And that's one of the things we are looking to be able to fight through and be able to address. And that's where we need to get better at inspecting what we expect. Hope is not a strategy at Woodworth to be able to put forth that effort and be able to see where we're at. So with some of the things, challenges that we had between the administrative changes, some staff changes, curricular, those aren't reasons, those aren't excuses. Those are just events that take place along the way, along our journey. And I can say that some of those things that I've implemented along the way would also be that critical action step. So as I talk about being reflective, that last one, number 5, that one's on me to be able to say, hey, a reflective approach of what I'm doing in a sense of being able to have that cadence calendar to show my availability, to show that sideways accountability to the staff. But again, it's that inspect what we expect. So if I'm going to drive change, I need to be right beside them, supporting them along the way and inspecting it as well. If we look over on Big Rock number 2, to increase that capacity for a deeper dive, number 1, want to look at is dedicated that focused time to our meetings as to where we're at and be able to provide that content time for our staff to work together. So we developed, similar to my colleagues, that 40-minute a day they have dedicated to their team, to their curricular practices, and to their instructional practice. This piece brings in consistency, and that consistency is what's been paying off a little bit of dividends to our progress that we've been making, but it's also, certainly the continued path to the journey that we're on. The other one that we have is number 2, that implement the PDA cycle, or PDSA cycle, rather. And that was established last year, I believe, with the support of CESA 6 coming in to be able to get that practice in. What I've noticed is that practice seems to be pretty reactive, as if CESA 6 comes in, we're able to provide that information. We're at the point now where we're trying to do that and being able to take over. So that expectation is, no, it's not react to somebody coming up to tell us how to do the work. It's our turn to actually do the work. We have the data, we have the systems in place, and be able to push ourselves forward to be stronger as a staff and be stronger with our data collection and what we do with that work. On to the desired outcomes. This is a result and a shift in thinking and a shift to kind of where we're at of thinking smaller to be able to take bigger chunks. After our trip to Oklahoma City and being able to have the DDI work, my 2 6th grade ELA teachers came back pretty on fire and with a game plan of how to, and it's the same thing, hey, we're going to do this. And what we ended up doing is pulling the reins back and said, well, let's do this and hone in on our skill before we go further. And so the 2 ELA teachers have started to look at the forward assessment heat maps as those standards you heard from my colleagues before. And as Randy said, working our way back to be able to say, hey, here's our missing target. Where does that land? What do we do? How do we focus? Who does that impact? And be able to drive that discussion. I am sitting with those 2 teachers on the regular basis so that we can represent what that model looks like going forward. And so the goal of this is by the end of the school year is we will roll that out so that we will have full DDI systems in place for both math and ELA come the start of the 25-26 school year. The other one is the number 3 on the outcomes is the academic monitoring. You heard also from my colleagues on that one. But that is, there's different levels of the academic monitoring across the board that we have to get better on tightening where we're at with those standards and what it is that we're looking for during that instruction. We have some standards that are set up as labs to be able to say, hey, the students are ready to go, they're engaged, and they're kind of checkpoints of what a classroom looks like. I have other teachers that are bringing in standards to be able to say their specific labs are targeted on what that assessment score comes back. So it's a matter of raising that bar and that accountability and that intentionality for all staff moving forward. And then on the back, you'll see, similar to both colleagues at Sabish and Tyson, that our scores are labeled there as well. And you'll see the exciting of, hey, that growth is there. So those are some pretty substantial gains and pretty proud moment for the staff. But you see that it's growth vertical, but we're missing the growth horizontal. We haven't quite hit into what that rigor piece is to be able to move it into the high performance. So though that we're excited for, hey, the gains that we've made collectively, they look fantastic. But there's still plenty of work ahead because we have to hit that rigor piece to be able to move our scope and sequence off to that right in the high performance side. So though we're making that growth, we're lacking on some of the gains, and we are honing in on that work as we speak. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Awesome. Questions, thoughts? Katie?
I just, looking at all 3 of the schools that all of our students are high growth is outstanding. And like we talked about, we have some in the high performance, and then the next move is to move them all to that high performance. But thank you for sharing. It was good to see all 3 schools are in that top portion.
And Mr. Lytle, just so you know my words, you used intentionality and accountability. I think those are great. I'm gonna single out the word all that you guys use in your purpose statement, that it's for everybody. Okay, and then you talked about it: belief factors, self-reflective, consistency, and that hope is not a strategy. So that and there shows that it is. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen overnight. Everybody's learning and growing. So those keywords to me make me understand the process is achieving what it's supposed to do with continued work at it. So,
thank you.
And Alex, I would be remiss if I didn't include your words as well. So you got away from me there. So we looked at strategic, we looked at best practices, we looked at timeliness, and then that last key one for me was a collective understanding. And when you have that and everybody's pulling the same way and going in the same direction, great things are going to continue to happen. So, thank you. Thanks to all of you.
President Schreider, can I say a couple things, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
One, I agree. Thank you to the staff and the principals that just got done speaking. Having had the opportunity to be part of this for the last 3 years, and the journey we've been on with UVA has been remarkable. You'll hear us say a lot, each system is designed to get the output that we're getting. We're in a completely different place now than we were when we started 3 years ago. And that's because of the systems that are in place. We've heard Dr. Flagg say often, this doesn't happen by accident. And it doesn't happen by accident. You heard common language by all the principals talking about what they're doing to make meaningful change for our students. The big ones focusing on high academic expectations for all students with that high level of support from staff. The one thing I wanted to also mention that wasn't mentioned here, you do have some data shown from our iReady data of where our students, and I heard Ms. Motor mention it as well, where we have students in the high growth, and we have some schools now leveling off into the high growth with high performance. When we had the regional directors and our local directors here last week from iReady, they came up and they said, and by the regional one, this is states in the nearby area. The local ones are the districts in the nearby area. And they made a point to say, whatever you're doing in Fond du Lac, make sure you keep doing. Because whatever it is, it's not just iReady. And they own that. They said it's not just iReady and iReady Pathways. It's the systems that you've put in place across all areas to make this happen. And whatever you do, don't let that go. So again, to the board, thank you for what you've allowed us to invest in our professional development for staff, because it's making an impact on students. Ms. Garcia also showed the achievement on those posters over there. I'm telling you right now, that's just the start. I can't wait to see where we're talking in 3 years from now with what our students are doing in Fond du Lac. So thank you as well.
Thank you, Ms. Steinberg. With that being wrapped up, we are going to turn it back to Mr. Steinbarth with the Chief Academic Officer reports on the Achievement Gap Reduction, AGR, data reports, Semester 1. He was just getting his voice warmed up.
No, sorry, just a little cold going on right now. And I don't know if you wanted to have that background rationale or not, but really the AGR, the Achievement Gap Reduction, it's to focus on our students in our schools that have different challenges, economic challenges, and it's to offer one-to-one tutoring support provided by a teacher, instructional coaching for teachers provided by a licensed teacher, as well as maintaining lower class sizes is the focus of AGR. Every year we've talked about this, and I've presented this. We have to do it once per semester. The one thing I will point out that maybe isn't on the papers that you had in front of you that you're able to look at is you may see a slight drop in our kindergarten letter recognition numbers. A big part of that is because of the new curriculum piece in place. They focus on letter sounds because as students are learning to read, the sounds are more important than the letter itself. When we read, we never read the letter as its name. We read the sounds of those names. And so the first semester in kindergarten, they do focus on letter sounds and then get into the letter name recognition. So we do expect those numbers to go up increasingly high.
Any questions for Mr. Steinbarth based off the reports that we've gotten?
I just have a question. I've had some interaction with some kids at the high school that need some help. And I guess my question is how do we identify and what's the process to get them the help that they might need in that tutoring to, some of them come from out of state, and are way behind. They didn't go through our program coming up through the grade schools and the middle schools. And, some are just struggling on the academic piece of it. And I was just curious my heart went out to a couple of them, because I know they're excited about what they're doing. They need help, to get there. So, I don't know if anybody can, I'm just curious on that.
I think there are a couple things at the high school. You have school counselors that provide support to students. And then additionally, they have structured study halls for them to complete their work in. But keep in mind, the AGR is elementary driven.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And we do not have, and we receive state resources for that to fund those positions. And high school is a challenge for that in terms of getting students the academic support they do need. And I do know Dave has done some things over the last couple of years to help students who especially have some skill gaps. So, but yeah, I think there is support that the school counselors do provide academic as well as social emotional support, because they both do go hand in hand.
Yeah, I was just thinking because, I see the AGR and we get help at the earlier levels, and obviously that helps them later. But we get some kids that come in at that high school level that didn't have the resources coming in. Some of them come from the southern states that, academics are a little bit struggling. Yeah, looking at them, I'm like, I just want to help them. I don't know how to give them direction, and say, hey. So I did talk to, Mr. McCabbage and said, hey, how do we help them out with some of this stuff? But yeah, I didn't know if there was a bigger, wider net that we could, identify, help, give them resources or something. And maybe that's something.
Well,
we can
our
look at
AVID
down
program is set up to support students too academically, and then as well as we do have the partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, the B Grade Graduate Program too. And I don't know how many students that takes in. Matt, do you remember from your time there?
When I was there, it was about 18.
18.
Always. I think it's even more than that right now.
Yeah, to really help students graduate and provide them a mentor for support and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe we just need to get that out. Maybe
Yep.
do a plan around how to get that information out to people. And obviously, you can only offer it; they got to accept it. But,
And that's, as Dr. Flagg said, if you know of students, don't be afraid to have them reach out to their counselor. They do set up things. I know because my daughter's tutored some students before as well, and it seems to go better when it's a student to student sometimes even. But the resources are out there, so if you hear of people, if you're a family member right now listening to this and your child needs that support, don't hesitate to reach out to the high school and just say, what can you do to help my child be successful?
Yeah, I just, like I said, one in particular, great attitude, wants to be eligible to play a sport, and, he's short, and he goes, hey, Mr. Henshaw went up 2%, I'm getting closer, and I'm just like, how do we help this, child get there, because he just wants to be there. So, okay, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? You're good? Okay. Next, we'll move on to superintendent reports, the hazardous transportation plan 2025-2026 update.
Yes, good evening. This is just for information. It's not for board approval, but there are areas within the city of Fond du Lac that have been identified as areas of hazardous transportation. So that's where we do provide transportation for our students. Since over the last year, improvements have been made, and there are improvements coming here. So this will impact the students at Pyre and Roberts, where they've received bus transportation for a while, and they will no longer receive that next school year. They have been notified, and we will be sending them another reminder. But it's important that this change is per state statute, that we have to go to the sheriff. We have to petition the sheriff of Fond du Lac County to review this plan to no longer transport the students. So it's been approved by Sheriff Trowbridge, and we're very thankful for that. And so we are going to, this will be going on, this affects Pyre and Robert students. And so, yeah, it's basically with the addition of sidewalks, help students get to school safer. So I just want to bring that forth to you all so you're aware of that. Any questions at all? Okay, second part of my presentation is I just want to, I know you all saw the press conference here, over a week ago, and I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention here as we are, as we share this message a little wider. It was the education recovery scorecard came out about 2 weeks ago, came out the 13th. And as I said, this is a quantitative study. This is not a study of where they interview people and about behavior. It's really about numbers. And that this was done in cooperation with a group out of Harvard, a group out of Stanford. And for us to be to have the fastest math improvement over 2 years, and to be the highest
performer in the largest 20 school districts in the state of Wisconsin. No one's approved more than we have. And it's really awesome just to see the work that has went in over the last 4 years into improving our schools and improving outcomes for our students. And then additionally, the reading growth, we are number one in the state over the last 2 years. No one has grown their readers faster than we have. And once again, this does not happen by just us being lucky. And I think I love what Mr. Lytle said tonight, hope is not a strategy. We don't hope that these outcomes improve. We intentionally put a plan together and execute the plan. And it's important that a lot of this comes down to change in adult behavior. Because as adults in the school system, that's where we have the most impact. And I want to I'd be also remiss if I didn't add this, is that this has nothing to do with the DPI lowering standards. This group based this on the NAEP standards out of Harvard and Stanford. So I know there's some political piece out there about, about the DPI lowering standards for our students. I was on the radio this morning and talked about that. I'm not happy with it. I'm disappointed in the DPI's decision to do that. There were no superintendents at the table when they did that. So as a whole, the State Superintendent Association is not overly thrilled with how this was rolled out either. But this was done by an independent organization and really is some of the highest level of research out there. And I just want to say thank you to our staff, our leadership, our principals for a job well done. And as we ride out the pandemic here, we're outperforming pre-pandemic numbers in math. If we would have made reading, we would have been one of about 100 districts in the country that are that are outperforming pre-pandemic numbers in both reading and math. Right now, we're just in math, but nonetheless, it's an outstanding recognition of the hard work that has went into really helping changing outcomes for our kids. So I just want to say thank you. And that's all I have this evening.
Awesome. No, I mean we can't echo that enough in terms of what everybody has done, and that it goes for a totality. With changing outcomes for our students, it starts, there's not a single person in this district that is not involved with this process that shouldn't feel really good about the achievement that we made, and at the same time shouldn't feel really good about where the direction that the district is going to continue to make those changes. So that's the exciting thing for me, especially, as I leave, actually, and turn it over, is to know that this isn't the stopping point. It's the train is on the tracks, as I always say, and it's moving forward. So, great job. I have to echo that myself. So, all right, with that being said, we are up to our second public comment session of the evening. We are beholden by the same rules that I spoke of on the first time, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, all these other things. So if anybody else like to approach our board at this time, now is the time to do so.
Hi, Julie Ziegler again. I got a text message saying they couldn't hear me, so I'm gonna repeat it for you. Thanks. Well, I'm gonna summarize. I is here today as a parent, recognizing my daughter Reagan, and then three other now senior gentlemen, Josh Quackenboss, Sean Deichel, and Alan Bang. They represented the Fond du Lac School District at Badger Boy and Badger Girl State last year, and I looked it up. This is a much better summary where it's a government and leadership conference where the entire delegation will create a mythical 51st state that functions according to the laws of the state of Wisconsin. Each day will focus on various aspects of city, county, and state government, and then the participants are divided into two political parties, the Federalists and Nationalists. I remember Reagan was a nationalist, I want to say. They develop their own party platforms and formulate their own issues. The girls learn by doing as a function of the city, county, and state levels by electing officials in the manner prescribed by regular election procedures and conducting businesses on those levels. So, again, appreciate the auxiliary number 75. I know that they supported the girl side. I'm not sure if they do the boy side too, but I'm sure there was somebody that did that. So thanking them because it happened in June, so over the summer. So I don't know how much was put out there on that. And then on the other side, congratulations to the state wrestling qualifiers, one being my daughter Reagan, who's a senior, and then Quinton Oregon, who's a sophomore, and Xander Scannell, who is also a senior, and they start their tournament on Thursday. So hopefully everybody heard this time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hello, I'm back as well with the same information, but now I'm on the mic. So we're here tonight on behalf of the Fond du Lac Education Association. The FEA would like to formally announce its support for the Fond du Lac School District referendum, which will appear on the April 1st ballot. This decision was made during the FEA's January general membership meeting, where educators discussed the potential impact of the referendum on student achievement. The referendum will address critical funding needs within the district to ensure continued growth in student success. During the meeting, FEA members highlighted recent improvements in student achievement and expressed concerns about the negative consequences of a failed referendum. FEA members remain committed to advocating for the measures that prioritize student success and provide staff with the necessary resources needed to do our jobs. Our students in the Fond du Lac community deserve to have the opportunities, attention, and support that this referendum will provide.
I, too, am back on the mic. So we're just very excited as an FEA that we are able to host an event at the Hive on March 5th from 4:30 to 6:30. The purpose is to be able to reach out to our community, give some big picture information, be able to listen to concerns and questions from our community. We're hopeful that we could possibly be able to address some of those questions and concerns in real time, but otherwise then we would just take that information and look into things more and hopefully be able to provide more information as the time goes by. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jim Hess, W3678, Sunny Road, Eden. I appreciate the middle school report tonight and Dr. Flagg's report. That is exciting, what is happening here in Fond du Lac. The WIAA, the state organization that oversees most Wisconsin high school athletic programs, updated a policy last Wednesday to say only athletes designated as female at birth would be allowed to compete in girls' sports. We know that 70% of Americans do not want men participating in female sports. But again, there was never any public discussion about that. It was just put in place, and that's the way it was. The change by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association comes as the Trump administration is acting to prohibit transgender women and girls from competing in sports. The WIAA updated policy also said transgendering boys can still take part in girls' practices. Will that still leave the door open for boys to go into girls' showers after practice? Transgender boys who wiped out girls in track sprint races and other sports should have to give back their trophies. And the girls who came in second be given their first place honors. The reason it could negatively affect them in the future, these young ladies. The Department of Education will no longer allow education entities to discriminate on the basis of race, said Craig Traynor, acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights at the department. Merit now replaces race. Merit is the quality of being worthy so as to deserve promotion. When in doubt, every school should consult the SFFA legal test contained in the Dear Colleague letter. If an educational institution treats a person of one race differently than it treats another person because of that person's race, which is the definition of DEI, the educational institution violates the law. The Department of Education will vigorously enforce the law on equal terms to all preschool, elementary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions, as well as state educational agencies that receive financial assistance. The enforcement will be the cutting of school grants valued at millions of dollars. Supreme Court 2023 decision in Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard, which clarified that the use of racial preferences in college admission is unlawful, sets forth a framework for evaluating the use of race by state actors and entities covered by Title VI. A federal judge last Friday temporarily struck down parts of the president's executive order. On January 29th, an executive order was signed that will withhold federal funds from schools that teach gender ideology or support trans, such as by using their name and pronouns correctly. The Fond du Lac School District has to change its policy concerning preferred pronoun discussions that occur on the first day of the school year. Otherwise, federal funds will be withheld. Today, a judge blocked the U.S. Department of Education from sharing so-called sensitive information with the Government Efficiency, DOGE, staff. Now, here's another good reason.
About 30 seconds, Mr. Hess.
To dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Billions of dollars come through this agency via grants that teachers receive for training. Why is the American Federation of Teachers and the U.S. Department of Education fighting so hard to keep a lid on all information pertaining money from the taxpayers and the public? Truth doesn't mind being investigated, but fraudulent activities resist exposure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Any other comments at all? Seeing none, we'll move on to other appropriate matters at the board table.
I got one thing.
Mr. Godfrey.
CISA 6 is hosting their 8th annual Women's in Leadership Conference, March 10th through the 11th in Kohler. They have two amazing keynote speakers. The first one is Atanja Jerome. She's a learning and development consultant, and the second one is the author Allison Van Hooser. She's an author of Infinite Influence. If you want any information about registering about this Engage and Empower for a Day, you can go to CISA 6's website to register, to look at it, to see what the event is about and see if you are interested. Again, this is their 8th annual, and this is for women in leadership. It's a Women's in Leadership Conference, again, and it's March 10th through the 11th, and it's in Kohler. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Mr. Henschel, anything?
Saw it on my face, huh?
I did see it on your face.
I have a couple things. Number one, I want to say thank you, FEA, for your support of the referendum, coming in here and doing that publicly. That is greatly appreciated. And if you have any of those forums and you want my presence there to help answer any of those questions or want more details, I am more than happy to participate in those. I probably can get into details a little bit, deeper into some of the finances being, and I'll bring data points for it. So just let me know. Then the other piece, I wanted to make a statement about some of the growth that we had, that I put out there, but I wanted to do it publicly. It was just eating at me a little bit. So here it is. So over the last few years, Fond du Lac School District has been able to put the systems in place that, like Mr. Steinbart talked about, for student achievement with investing in the proper support and training for our teachers and our leaders. With that said, at the end of the day, the teachers are the ones who had to embrace and execute the systems we put in place and what the district's built. So none of this would have happened without the hard work, heavy lifting, and dedication our teachers did in the classroom every single day for our students and helping them achieve these great results. So I want to say thank you to every staff member in the Fond du Lac School District who had a part in this great success. We talked about the DDI, and we talk about a lot of the impact that the teachers are having in these classrooms in the schools, and it just doesn't happen without resources and without support from the district level to help give them that, education, training, resources to have that happen. We can do all of that, but at the end of the day, unless it's executed in the classroom, none of that happens either. So it's truly a partnership and collaboration, I know Mr. Schreider likes that word, between the district and teachers. I always say, people in the trenches doing the work. So I want to say thank you to everyone, because these results are being noticed regionally, statewide, nationally. It's something to be proud of. So I hope everybody is proud of and it's heavy lifting. It's not easy work. But when you get the results, I hope it makes it all worth it, because coming from this side of it, I'm not in the trenches every day, and I don't know if I could do that every day, so I really do appreciate the people that do that. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Henschel. Mrs. Mortar, do you have anything?
Well, I was gonna do a shout out last meeting. Just wanted, I don't know if this is the appropriate area, but Mamma Mia. I went to that show. I didn't see it on our agenda from last time or this time, so I just wanted to say they did a phenomenal job, and just high class, as well as got an opportunity to go to STEM. And some of the students who've already completed needed credits are taking advanced classes online in between their scheduled classes, as well as classes of interest, which I thought was really quite wonderful. And kudos to Mark regarding him sharing out the importance of the work that everyone's doing. So thanks.
Thank you. I should all be congratulations once again to the wrestling state qualifiers. That's a huge, huge achievement and accomplishment. Also, the boys basketball team, the varsity boys basketball team, is in Kaukauna on Thursday, playing for a share of the FVA title. So that'll be another chance to see them, to be able to raise another banner for Fond du Lac. So, anyone else? Seeing none, we will move to adjourn.
Move to the Board of Education adjourn the regular meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Henschel, seconded by
I'm
Mr.
being
Godfrey.
quiet
Can we
tonight.
call the roll, please?
Godfrey,
Yes.
Henschel,
Yes.
Horth, yes, Lavrens.
Yes.
Motor,
Yes.
Panau,
Yes.
Schreider.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned at 6:07 PM.